Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine Anaya. Welcome to the Women's Eye podcast. I am so happy you are joining me today. This is where you are going to meet fascinating women who are leaving their mark, making a difference, and changing lives. This episode is brought to you by Casco Financial Group in Phoenix, Arizona. Catherine Scrivano is the president of Casco Financial Group. She started her business to help people create financial strength to achieve their dreams. My guests today are two dynamic women who are well known in Arizona as both Phoenix business and community leaders. And now Monique Porras and Latasha Causey have joined forces to create socks, but not just any socks. They're socks that capture their love for helping the community in a unique and innovative way. So join me in saying, hello, ladies. Thank you for joining me here on the Women's Eye podcast. It's great to see you.
Good to see you, Catherine.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk to you. Before we dive into your exciting new venture, I do want to talk about how you two came together, two very strong, empowering women. What made you decide you wanted to join your business and community passions?
Yeah, well, and this is Monique. I think from the day Latasha and I sat down together, and I'll never forget it, we were at a coffee shop in downtown Phoenix, and we had seen each other around, right, through social media, but really hadn't met yet. And so thanks to Latasha's great networking, she reached out to me, we met, and I think we both immediately felt that we had something, to give. Didn't know maybe what it was, but I think the combination of our energy, our platforms, we knew right away. We needed to step it up. And then we just started kind of going out to events together from that point on, and quickly were enlightened and quickly learned that we wanted to do things different.
Yeah, Latasha, I would say that you both have an incredible amount of energy and passion. Yeah. So I love the fact that you have come together to collaborate on something truly magnificent. So let's talk a little bit about that baby. You have helped design and release socks that tell the story about and benefit two Phoenix nonprofits that you're both very passionate about. First of all, why socks?
Yeah. Well, I think I will just start this off, and then I'll flip it over to you, Monique, in regards to why socks. I think if we could, the organization that we worked with, Voice Thread, who is ran by Drew Shaw, a good friend of mine. And so we wanted to be able to come together and support a small business. And to be honest, Catherine, a small Black-owned business was really important to both of us as well. But not only is it just socks, as you mentioned, it's socks that support nonprofits. It really tells the story of those nonprofits. And it gives the opportunity to, you walk around, not only are you fashionable, but you can talk about what's on your socks and what it's supporting. So it's something way different than going to a luncheon or a dinner. Not that those aren't important, but it is very different than doing that as well.
Right. And honestly, you know what? I think Latasha and I would like to say we're fashionistas, right? So how cool would that be to combine our platform, our love for the community, give back, and then fashion, right? So it seemed like the perfect marriage, and we were yearning to do something different. And this started before COVID. This has been a year and a half in the making, and so it's taken some time.
Yes, I remember you telling me about this venture not too long after you started it. So it's wonderful for me to see this come to fruition. And especially because, like you mentioned, there is a specific cause and awareness behind the socks. So tell me about the two nonprofits, You Mom and Child Crisis Arizona, why you chose those two in particular.
Absolutely. Well, we went through a whole vetting process. And so there were multiple nonprofits that came forward and came to the table who we were reviewing. And to be honest, Catherine, as you mentioned, we started this pre-COVID. So we got together for breakfast, and then the whole world changed in a matter of probably 60 days after we got together. So we went through this process of, okay, does that now change the dynamic of who we support? Or do we even do this? And so we continue through that vetting process. And what we realized is that organizations like UMOM and Child Crisis still needed our help. So UMOM is an organization that has been in the Valley for years, and it's rebuilding our communities and helping with homelessness. It's one of a kind. Those of us who know UMOM know that it helps individuals. So it's called UMOM, but it helps the whole family. So it's unique because that means that the entire family can come and stay in transitional housing. And so that is why that one was very important to us, because it's just a collective effort of trying to bring the community back together and rebuild. And then Child Crisis of Arizona, another very unique organization as well that has been around in the Valley for years. That organization supported, again, one of its kind, supporting children age 0 up to 18 years old who are in the foster care system and who become homeless throughout that system. So, which we don't realize how much that actually happens when you think about, a less than 1-year-old child who has 0 family and as well doesn't have a foster family either. And so Child Crisis of Arizona is that supportive service that helps those children. And so we could not have been more honored and grateful that we sold them on us helping them. It didn't take much, that's for sure, but that we were able to go and tell their stories to others.
You picked 2 nonprofits that you mentioned have been here in Arizona in the Phoenix area for years. I remember back in the 90s going to the Child Crisis Center and rocking babies, and they've just done such a tremendous job in helping families in our community. So thank you, first of all, for supporting those 2. And going back to how this originated, you mentioned that this idea all came about with the help of Drew Shaw, the owner of Voice Threads, which is a minority-owned for-profit business in Phoenix that produced the socks. But you both designed the socks. How fun was that?
Well, I'll tell you, it takes a lot longer than you think, and we've learned way more about socks than I think we ever thought we would. We came in at a time, obviously manufacturing was affected, right, with COVID. So I think we probably did it in the most challenging time that you can do it, but it was absolutely fun sitting with the artist who Noah was remarkable, and just kind of sitting on the computer looking how the graphics get shifted, created, and changed. But one thing Latasha and I definitely wanted was, we were like, okay, with this collaboration, we want a little piece of ourselves on each of these socks, a little bit different than normally what Voice Threads does, just to kind of leave our imprint there. So that was kind of fun coming up with ideas there, but it's a lot of work, a lot of design work, but all fun, all different, all new to us. And we learned a lot.
And you have some socks with you, right? That you can show
off. Yeah.
We sure do.
That is so fun. So
I have the Child Crisis. This one is the Child Crisis one. It tells the story. So they're 2 mismatched socks that truly tell the story of the family. So these are Child Crisis.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I have UMOM. And so, these also tell the story. And if you look at some of the imaging of the housing, obviously servicing the homeless, it's perfectly and all approved by UMOM. So they were so happy with the story presented on their socks.
They're so colorful and so bold. And that was going to be my next question is, how involved in this process did the organizations become?
Yeah, so really in the beginning of the process, in order for Drew and Noah to be able to tell the story, they really had to get to know the nonprofits. And so that's how the design process actually works, is that, they dig deep, and Drew's not going to partner with any nonprofit that he doesn't believe in or that he believes could tell a great story. And so they went through and made sure that, they understood the dynamics of each of these organizations. And that is how this actually came together. So they were certainly involved from the standpoint of knowing, what they do, how they come to the table, and Drew then sends it over to them and they review it, and then the socks are produced.
So it's really a labor of love and a true collaboration. What's been the reaction from the organizations and from the community? I know you did this fabulous celebration launch party for the socks, and it looked like a lot of fun. I'm sorry I couldn't make it.
It was fun. Honestly, from the community perspective, I'll speak to that. It was mind-blowing. I mean, Latasha and I when we kind of build and bring our platforms together, we're like, oh, we can have 1,000 people here. You know, it could be a lot. We realized how many people do love us, how many people do support us, these organizations and community. And so it was very eye-opening. I mean, I know we've done things before, and we know the power that our platform and our network has, but it was truly, truly eye-opening. And to kind of bring everyone together in a unique type of event. It was a fashion show, right? And it brought so much awareness to all the moving pieces of this. Obviously, Voice Threads, that was our goal, was to highlight his organization, the nonprofits as well, but even the other nonprofits that Voice Threads has partnered with in the past. It really, some people are like, wow, I didn't even know he created socks for, Teach for America, or, some organizations they had not known before. So to bring that awareness for Drew was phenomenal. I think for Latasha and I, just offering up something different, if we can leave a nugget behind for our community to do something different, to challenge themselves. That was the messaging that was left that night at this unique fashion show. And I think it was well absorbed, and people are still talking about it. People are asking us what we're doing next, and that's okay. We want to leave that thought with them. So we definitely raised the bar. We've got to figure out what it does happen next.
Well, speaking of raising, I mean, you didn't just raise the bar, you both raised the funds for the sock production. Yes. And it's something, the entire project is something I have never seen in this community. Is it time, in your opinions, one or both of you, to start getting more creative and start thinking outside the box when it comes to raising awareness for the nonprofit world?
Absolutely. I think that that's exactly where we are, Catherine, and that's exactly where both Monique and I were. I've been the chair of so many luncheons, raised millions of dollars for organizations like Valley of the Sun, United Way, Teach for America, amazing organizations. But this felt different, right? This was an organic, boots on the ground. How do we inspire others to think differently about how they support, small for-profit businesses as well as just the community as a whole? So the answer is yes, it is certainly time to think differently about what we do, but then also, how do you have a lasting impact, right? So how do you make sure that when you do this, how do you keep doing it? How do you inspire others to jump in and do it as well? And so, we all have to. When we left that event that evening, I challenge everyone to really figure out what they can do differently to support the community. And in my mind, even if you're only helping one person, you're helping someone. And so I just want us to really think differently about how we do that.
Is this something, do you believe, that can be replicated, easily replicated in other cities or communities? And would you like to see that?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I think absolutely, right? I mean, with my network too, and I know Latasha's, our community expands beyond Arizona, and there are people outside of the state talking about it and reaching out and purchasing the sock. It became a national, right, desire and intrigue. And so I think absolutely, I think the first step is knowing the organizations that are in your city, right? Understanding these small organizations like, Voice Threads and the story behind them, and really getting to know them so you can partner. I didn't know Drew Shaw other than from a distance. I tapped on Latasha's door, I remember, and I'm like, okay, tell me about Drew Shaw. I love the look of his sock, the way, his photography, I love the look. We can do something here. That I didn't know, but I looked for it, right, and researching. So I would say that everybody should do that, and it absolutely can be done in other cities. There's a lot of organizations out there that people can come together. There's nothing more powerful than that collaboration and then giving back to the community through that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead, Latasha.
Yeah, I would just add, Catherine, I think there's something really unique about Monique and I. All of us as women, we have to come together and share and collaborate our networks. I know sometimes, especially women in business, sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we're competing, whether you're competing for a job, you're competing for a promotion, or whatever it is. Monique and I collectively came together, non-competing, and we know what we can do. We know what we bring to the table. And I wish more women in general would come together and do that. We have a phenomenal relationship, and she has networks in DC and LA and all these other places. The same for me and all these other markets. So just imagine what we can do when we bring all of those markets and all of those people together. So I just think that it's something very unique that has to happen, not only from the nonprofit space, but as women, because we all know that there's a lot of magic in women and what we can do.
Absolutely. The sky is the limit.
Catherine, there is nothing better, feeling better than, right after the sock event, Latasha reaching out to me, and boy, have I done it to her many times, but it's like, okay, what are we going to do next? I mean, that is, to me, that is a success for the week, right? To get a message like that. I have sent it to her. She has sent it to me. And so it just doesn't stop, right? Like we're still going.
Well, when one of us succeeds, we all succeed is
absolutely
what I like to believe. And,
absolutely.
Just what a great way to support nonprofits, and especially at a time, when they need the help recovering from this pandemic. So many of these nonprofits suffered. Do you have any plans to do any more socks, any more collaborations with other nonprofits?
Well, I know that Drew's business will continue to thrive and continue to do those things, as he does currently. I mean, I don't know that Monique and I yet have a sock in mind, but we want someone else to do. We want someone else to do what we did. And so we're encouraging other people to work with Drew Shaw to raise the money, to find some nonprofits. We'll be there. We'll be at their launch party to support them. As Monique said, you never know with the two of us what we're going to do next. I will tell you, if it's not a sock collaboration, it will be a community impact. No matter what, we will do something else.
Yeah. Well, that leads right into my next question, which is, you also recently released a 3-part YouTube video series of candid conversations about equity and very important conversations. It's called Mic'd Up with Monique and Latasha. I've watched. You're both naturals. I love that you are having these conversations. So my question is this the beginning of a Latasha Monique media empire?
Yeah.
I love the way that sounds.
Roll off the tongue so easily.
we gotta write that one down. We gotta write that
yeah.
down.
We're writing that down for sure. We'll even give you the trademark, Catherine, when that happens.
Thank you. But I didn't hear a yes or no, or, I didn't get a real answer there.
I mean, it's not a bad idea, I'll tell you that.
Not a bad idea at all.
No,
I always say this, Latasha, and I always got to repeat this. We always say we're going to take over the world because I think when we keep repeating those words, it keeps us going, and I think we may mean it. We laugh after every time we say it, but we may mean this.
I love it. Ladies, you're fabulous. I adore you both. Thank you so much for all you do, continue to do, and just the wonderful work, and for joining me. I want to let people know that they can learn more about both of you, Latasha and Monique, where to purchase your pair of Voice Thread socks, and where to subscribe to Mic'd Up by going to our website, thewomenseye.com. I also want to let you know that Women's Eye has 2 books, folks. The first is called 20 Women Changemakers. You can shop for it wherever you buy books and at changemakersbook.com. And our newest book, 20 Women Storytellers, is out right now. You can find out more about that at womenstorytellersbook.com. Ladies, thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Catherine. This was so fun.
Yeah.
Thank you. So great to see you. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Women's Eye podcast. I thank you again, Latasha, Monique, and all of you for listening and watching. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Catherine Anaya. Until next time, remember, it's the world as we see it.